Greetings, poisons and girls, children of all ages, step right up for what's sure to be a B-movie sensation, a carnival of horrors within a field of screams. Folks, I am your horror host Inkarnate, and tickle me excited for this one. I mean, man, this is my kind of B-movie. I love concepts like this, just completely, they're not meant to be taken seriously, but it's funny because, like, on the one hand, they're not meant to be taken seriously, but concepts like this, premises like this, they can very often, with their oddball eccentricity, create a cult following, if not a very strong fan base. So, and I'll get to why in a second when I rattle off a couple of names that might be familiar of recognizable franchises. Now, for me, this movie takes very much after Cocaine Bear from, what was it, last year or the year before? I think it was last year. But I like concepts like this, and it comes out of left field, not just with the premise, but the timing. You wouldn't expect a movie like this to drop at all, let alone to kick off the summer blockbuster season. But I, for one, am happy that it did. And now that I've set the precedent of something like Cocaine Bear, this type, and look, obviously this is a preview on my way to go watch the movie, but something like this it works, a concept like this, all the pieces together, because it's so oddball and not what you would expect, that it goes together perfectly. Now, something like Abigail from last year, what a stupid concept. A child vampire ballerina. All right, what do you do with that? Seriously. And I mentioned that in my trailer breakdown, my trailer gut reaction last year. It's a dead-end concept. Like, it's not even that, oh, it's so stupid that it would draw someone in. Like, look, if you have a talking tree and raccoon with Guardians of the Galaxy, those two ingredients are just weird enough to draw people in to see, like, what is this about? A talking raccoon? Something like that. Whereas something like Abigail, it was just dead in the water. So, getting back to clown in a cornfield. And hey, we've seen clowns in sewers, so we can deal with a cornfield. And for anyone who's ever gone to a corn maze, I distinctly remember when I went to Headless Horseman in Ulster Park in upstate New York. I've gone a couple times, actually, but the very first time I went, I distinctly remember I went with a group of friends, and oh my God, it was freezing. Mind you, it was October, and it felt like December. So cold, our jeans were sticking to our legs. Anyway, the corn maze enough. Well, no. First, we had the hayride on our way to the corn maze. And as if everything within the corn maze wasn't scary and nail biting enough, what do we see when we turn a corner dead center? A circus tent. I was like, and mind you, I had a friend that, it's so funny. I've had two friends that legitimately have calorophobia, fear of clowns, and oh my God, my friend was literally tearing by the time we got out of there. But a concept, I bring that up because with the comedic, with the dark humor that a clown would bring, and the setting and the weapons that he could fashion within a farm setting, man, I am absolutely expecting for there to be, it's like a playground for a clown, and I'm expecting for there to be creative kills, even more so than there already should be, but typically aren't within your typical slasher movie. Now, to me, I mentioned Abigail, but considering that this is a small town slasher, personally, I think that this movie has the makings to put Eli Roth's Thanksgiving to shame. God, that movie, anyway, I don't want to get into that, but oh man, Clown in a Cornfield is set to show what a oddball concept that Abigail wasn't should be, and I think it's primed to show what a small town slasher should be and put Thanksgiving to shame. I think that sequel's supposed to come out this year. Anyway, I'm curious if the Jack in the Box from the trailer is just a gimmick or has something more intricate to do with the plot. Regardless, from what I've seen from said teasers, the no doubt teen slasher stereotypes, they don't seem to be as annoying as you would expect. Something like the new cast of the new Scream movies, miss me with that crap. But I'm willing to give them a chance, and like it's so funny to me how often people just either don't get or don't understand. You have to have characters that people give a crap about. That way when they die or start dying, the audience cares and the movie's that much more scary because they are living vicariously through these relatable characters. So I am hopeful for that. And not only do we live vicariously through the characters, thus ramping up the horror, but man, if the teens are just annoying, it has the adverse and opposite effect because now we're rooting for the bad guy and vicariously living through him. Let me see. What else do we have? Apparently this movie is based on not just a novel, but a trilogy. I did not see that coming. I mean, honestly, nowadays, who knew anyone wrote novels about slashers, let alone a court jester on a farm, and 3 of them? So that caught me off guard. I hope that whoever is directing this is able to, if improvement is required in the writing, I genuinely hope that they were able to, obviously improve upon it, add their own distinct flair to this premise, and that, I just hope that we're in for a good time with this. I've always been very upfront about how I'm not a big fan of slashers. However, this seems like a fun premise, and I'm genuinely willing to give it a shot. And let me see, what else do we have? My expectations include creative kills because, like I said, I mean, that should be like par for the course when it comes to slasher films. And oh my God, how often do they miss the mark on that? It's just like, dude, come on. Why is that like that much like The Mask, which is always treated like an afterthought? There's just no creativity around slasher masks. You would think that, and this is probably the lone positive that I can even give to the Friday the 13th series, you would think that the creative kills, and I say this because most slashers take after Friday the 13th as opposed to something like the Halloween of old or, God forbid, Psycho. So the copy in Friday the 13th has become the blueprint, sorry to say. But if they're going to show any creativity, one would think that masked maniacs chasing teenagers down would just be inventive with their homicides. No, not really. And for me, that expectation is only doubled now that you have a killer clown. So, yeah, and additionally, while we're talking lame teen horror, again, my hope is that these kids are more likable than the recent Until Dawn movie. Not to go on a sidetrack or a tangent, but I mean, for a film that took itself far too seriously, considering the borderline slapstick approach to the gaming source material, it probably could have done with some levity. I mean, my God, I don't remember the teen characters. They were basically, man, it's one of those things where, and again, I don't want to get sidetracked, but they would have had to put effort into living up to being stereotypes. They were so bland. Slasher movies themselves, like I said, they should hold themselves to some kind of standard. I am hoping that with the fact that it's a clown, the fact that it's a farm, the fact that he has farming tools at his disposal, I'm hoping for not just creative kills, but probably like kills that are so over the top, it'll be like laugh inducing. And yeah, I mean, to me, the stakes are doubled when you have a killer clown, that the kills are going to be just, and I don't mean like, I don't just mean that they would be gratuitous in their bloodletting, but actually the payoff of them would be just outlandish. You know what I mean? So and it seems as though from the trailer that there are going to be kills or maybe chases outside of the cornfield. So I'm wondering if the movie starts like on a flashback to, back in the day whenever this parade is going on in the town, or if this will happen throughout the film. Although I'm pretty sure from the trailer, I mean, it'd be kind of weird if the clown just chases everyone at night, and then throughout like the rest of the week or whatever is hunting them down during the day. So I am curious to see how that plays out, how he either takes people out in the past, or if like leading up to the night at the cornfield, he's murdering teenagers and taking, building up his body count in anticipation for this, for the night in the cornfield. Now, I mentioned at the top of this preview that I think we need more films like this, more movies like this. And what I mean is, first off, smaller budget. Like I said, it kind of takes, it'd be interesting if it kind of starts a new trend where you'll have smaller budget, maybe leaning comedy type horror films like Cocaine Bear to start off the summer season. Definitely smaller budget. Not everything has to be, a AAA film. Definitely kicking off the summer. And we've had, have we had a rough year already, just with films in general, and even Marvel films and blockbusters. Oh man. And mostly, and this is the third and final and most important point, but oddball left field concepts. Like I've always triumphed films like Ghostbusters and Beetlejuice and Ninja Turtles, because we need like crazy, out of left field, quirky plots and premises that you wouldn't normally, and I think that you wouldn't normally see. And I think that helps to break the mold, get out of the monotony that we have been in. For quite some time, where everything is a remake and everything is a reboot and everything is a ripoff. I just got through talking about Sinners and Until Dawn, and both of those movies absolutely are ripoffs. So I think if we get something original like this, I hope it delivers. I'm certainly rooting for it. And honestly, I have been since I saw the trailer. I was like, boom. I mean, it knows what it is. It looks, I like the name of the clown, Friendo. It looks like it is not obviously taking itself seriously. I like the way that it ended with, like, you have three friends and they're all panicking. They're all huddled. They're all, leaning down behind the cornfield. And then one covers the other's mouth. And then the other one covers the others. And then by the time the last friend has her mouth covered, it's by the clown, and her eyes really sell like the goofiness of it. Like, she's not warning her friends. She's just like, her eyes are darting around. See, like, I like that. I like that it seemingly everyone will be in on the joke. The actors will play their part to sell the comedy. So my hope is that they don't have any kills per se. Well, one or two people, but they die in pretty, standard ways in the trailer, like a kid catches an arrow to his face. I'm hoping that they did the smart thing and saved the best kills. And look, I'm not a gore hound, but I'm hoping that they did the smart thing and they didn't spoil their best material for the trailers. I'm hoping that they were smart enough to A, have good material that people want to see in this film, B, save it so that it's a surprise when you watch the movie, that it's not spoiled in the trailers. Like the premise, I hope they were smart enough to realize that the premise itself will sell this movie. And I believe me, I could be wrong. I could be wrong about that part, about people going to see this movie, because it is, low budget. It's not a huge name. It's not a franchise or anything like that. But I am hoping that people go out to see this, support it. I hope it's good, and I hope that, again, that the people behind this, that they were smart enough to include good material in the film, but also just be able to just be able to have been smart enough to save their best tricks that they kept up their sleeve. I'm hoping that they were smart enough not to include any and all of their best stuff in the trailers, and they have it saved for the film itself. So those are my expectations. I hate to do the predictable thing and take to the comments section, but there's a reason why I do these previews. I am actually watching this one day in advance. It's an advanced screening. I wanted to catch it the earliest it came out. I am working on another video, but I am heading out to the theater now. And make sure to come back, because this is just the preview version of my live stream before I head out to the theater. When I get back, I always do my aftershocks, which are my reaction videos straight from the theater. Therefore, you have my hot take. So be sure to come back for that. I've been Inkarnate, reminding you, I ain't just a big deal, I'm the real deal. If you're resigned to your fate, time to subscribe to your fears.
Warn your friends. Warn everyone.